Now, broadcasting on Radio Star Worldwide, it's time for Dr. Rademakers' Prescription for Transformation. Let's tap into your own authentic genius and live the life you desire.
You are now listening to...
Join Dr. Rademaker for an enlightened conversation about our brain intelligence, our body intelligence, and our energy intelligence. And now, here's your host, Dr. Bart Rademaker.
Well, welcome back again. I'm delighted to be here today, and I'm really delighted to have my special guest with me as well. And this is Dr. Bart Rademaker, Prescription for Your Transformation, #RealPeople, #RealConversations. And we live in an intelligent universe. And it's like I've said before, things just don't happen by random. And so it's really up to you, what decisions are you making to take advantage of that intelligence that's around us? And are you going to be that accidental tourist in your own life, bumping into things and finding some magic and greatness? Because the truth is that we all desire divine happiness. And to acquire that, we actually do have to resolve everything that makes us unhappy. So understanding what's possible, understanding that there's a brain or mind intelligence, there's a body intelligence, and there's an energy intelligence as well. And so that's the reason for my platform. With my book, the radio show, with the social media platform, is helping you discover the things that you don't know. There are things that you don't know, and that's the purpose of this. Bringing in new voices, new solutions, new awareness, so that then you can be the tour guide in your own life, living that purposeful and fulfilled life that we all do desire. And there's an interesting story for you, because it's about what today is all about. And I've recently become an eligible bachelor again. And I remember when I was younger and I had a really fit body. I could do anything that I really wanted to do. And I could eat and drink and I would have this incredibly fit body. But as I've gotten older, it's not that easy anymore. I've gained the pounds and now I'm thinking, whoa, hang on a second. Maybe I'm not that eligible anymore. I mean, it's only a couple pounds, let me be honest with you, but still, it's not right for me. And so I reflect on myself and the difficulty that I have to get the body that I want and really understand that I do know what I need to do. We all do. We all know what we need to be doing for ourselves. And here's the truth. We have this existence, we have this human experience in a physical one. It's called our body. And unless we decide that our body is our temple, our body is something that we want to honor and cherish, we're never going to be able to have the experience that we all could have. And so that's what today is all about, is taking care, honoring, and figuring out how to have the body that you desire so that you can do everything else that you want. And that's the body intelligence. Is optimizing the function, the vitality, the energy, and the endurance of what our body is really capable of doing. And here's the truth. Here's the other truth. There's a 20x factor within all of us. And it really starts with the foundation of who we are, and it comes down to our own bodies. And so for today, I'm delighted because on many different levels. Because here's a man, he's an expert. He's a rejuvenation expert and founder of the National Rejuvenation Centers, and just came out with this phenomenal book. I absolutely love this book. I got a lot of books, and I'm very critical about books. And he's the best-selling author of Rejuvenation. And I'm very pleased to announce that Dr. Bartley Kerr, a good friend of mine, and also a mentor because of what he can do. And it really comes down to 3 elements that are the cornerstone of what his whole philosophy is. It's nutrition, it's exercise, and hormone optimization. And before I get him on air with us, I just want to make something very, very, very clear, is that there's so much confusion about hormonal replacement. What is that? There's a lot of fear, a lot of misunderstanding, and a lot of misguidance within the realm of medicine and health. And so what's wonderful about what Dr. Kerr has actually been able to achieve, he's been able to achieve the writing, the publishing of a book that is really easy for us regular people to really understand, because that's part of the problem. There is so much confusion. There is so much conflicting data. But he spent years doing the research, looking at all the different elements, and I'm always astounded by what he has told me about hormonal replacement. So welcome, Dr. Kerr. Thank you for today.
Thank you very much. That was a great intro. I really appreciate it.
No, absolutely. And it's all well deserved. And what's exciting is that now people are going to be able to tap into their own, authentic optimization because of someone like yourself. So share with us a little bit about, what is this rejuvenation all about? What is your triad all about? So people can have a better grasp of what that really means.
Yeah, I mean, what I put together was the Trinity of Rejuvenation. And that means there's three big elements to the healthful aspect of rejuvenation. That's going to be proper nutrition for what you do. It's going to be the right type of exercise, not too much, not too little, and hormone optimization, not just good hormone levels, but those levels of an athletic 20-year-old. We want to beat those guys. And my patients are mostly over 40. They've hit the wall. They're not as sharp as they used to be. They're tired. Nothing really is exciting to them anymore. They just hit the wall. But they're sharp. They know what's going on, and they want some kind of a solution, and they don't want to live their life like that. They want to be optimized. And when we optimize their hormone levels, we give them the right type of exercise to do, and we tell them how to eat, not diet. They live a much more fulfilled life. They feel phenomenal. They get things done. They might surpass the health of their youth. And it really goes with what you were saying when you're with your lead in here about the mind-body connection. When I asked all these patients at the end, when I did my last chapter of my book, I said, why are you doing this? The number one reason was to be happy and enjoy your life. That, I think, is a testament to rejuvenation medicine. They're enjoying their life. If they want to throw a football with their 17-year-old son, they can. If they want to go jet skiing with their daughter, they can. And they're not limited like they used to. And they're much more productive at work. I mean, who wouldn't want to hire a 55-year-old with the spark and energy of a 20-year-old? You got that creative young thing going on in a person who's seasoned and knows the job. I mean, these are really interesting, cool people, and their health is extraordinary.
That's totally amazing. And one thing that you shared with me several times is the realization that people have that once they start getting on your program, that they now realize what they were missing out on. And so that's what's really exciting about the programs that you have. So how is it that really in your experience that people start investigating this whole idea of rejuvenation? I mean, how is it that people actually decide, okay, great, this is something that I believe is going to work for me?
Well, most are skeptical, and I would be too, because, everything's, they've been bombarded with every type of supplement known to man. Good friends become multi-level marketers, and they don't like them anymore, and they say, gee, what is this stuff? Another one of those things? But in the news, they hear about hormones. They hear somebody went on testosterone and doing well. Another woman tells them about, oh, I feel phenomenal on progesterone. There's a lot of word of mouth because the people who actually do it feel very well. Not only that, but what the coolest factor to me is the research. We're doing stuff that is well-researched, that is safe, effective, tremendous efficacy of doing what we're trying to do to these patients, make them feel better, be healthier. Their blood profiles are much better, and this is science. This is actually the studies, not hearsay.
Right. So you talk about the Trinity. And so I'd like to go through a couple of those things, in each of one of them, and at the later part of the show, really focus on the actual hormonal part. And so let's get the nutritional aspect. So what is the basics of the nutrition? And not so much for people then to really start doing it themselves, because here's the one thing that I do know. If we want to get the transformation, and as a peak performance life coach, this is what I get to do as well, is that if we want to get that transformation, then we need to work with the people who know what they're doing, and it can help us customize a program that's totally going to work for us. And so for any of the listeners who listen in, so that you get an understanding of what it is that each of these elements of the Trinity are, the next step is, however, to connect with Dr. Kerr and find out, okay, what is it specifically that you can do? So Dr. Kerr, just for the nutritional aspect, I mean, what are some of the basic elements that you feel very strongly about that create the success that you get?
Well, like I stated in the book, Rejuvenation, my book, what we're trying to do is what works. And what people want to work is most people want to be lean. They don't want to be heavy. They want to feel great, and they want to eat the food that they like. And those are all things we want in a nutrition regime. The trouble is not everybody is the same. But if we optimize the hormones, what I do with the patients, I do with what works with most of the patients first. About 80 to 90% of them do well with a certain ratio of protein, carbohydrates, and fats. A little higher on the proteins, moderate in carbohydrates, and low in fats. And we put together with the foods that they like to eat in the proper ratios. The thing is, these are now athletic 20-year-olds, so they kind of have to eat like an athlete. So they might need a little more protein than the normal person because, well, they're in better shape. So we put together their eating plan up front. I like carbohydrates. I know that's not the diet du jour of the day, but you need some to process the proteins, and you need them for energy. You need them to think, especially if you're training the way I tell you to train. You're going to need those carbohydrates. The protein sources, I like a variety of protein sources. I don't like fads. I don't like weird stuff. And you need fats, and specifically the important fats, the linolenic, the linoleic acid, and we outline that in the book. And we do the ratios. And we start with a general, and we go to a specific. Now, if a patient isn't responding, they might be a low-carb person, and we actually do have to put them on a low-carbohydrate regime. If they are not responding to that, we might have to do some kind of a glycemic index diet or so forth. So everybody's a little bit different, but I like to start with a general and go to a specific with everything that I do, because what works, works, and what works for the majority I like to start with.
That makes a lot of sense, because that's one of the biggest challenges, in the market today of nutrition and weight loss, is because there are so many different, solutions. And just like you said, what's the diet, du jour? And what's the fad? That was
my biggest problem with this. The thing is, to sell a book, to sell a nutrition regime, to sell a diet thing where they sell packaged food and so forth. Some of them are very good, some of them aren't. But the thing is, to keep it fresh, they got to change the game. They have to change the scheme. Whether it's, we saw Jim Fixx, and we saw the high carbohydrate diet. We saw Atkins with the low carbohydrate diet. We've seen the grapefruit diet. We've seen the cabbage soup diet. We've seen paleo, the gluten-free. We've been all over the place. But really, what works, works. And it might not be sexy, it might not be new, but it works. And that's what my patients are coming to have. They are having to get results. And they want something that's easy to do and that works. And that's what I like to start them with. And then we can go into tangentialize and get into their specific needs and wants. And they always change on me, too. We might have a person who comes in, has no energy, and just want to lose weight. And then 6 months later, they're saying, well, I got this triathlon coming up. How do I eat? It's going to be a totally different protocol.
Right. So, and I totally agree with that. And here's the truth. And what I like about, your program is that, unlike other programs, whether it's a nutritional program or whether it's an exercise program or whether it's a hormone optimization program, they're all singularly focused, procedures or programs. And the fact that you're combining all three obviously is going to have a much more of an effect. And just like you said, because people are individual, you've got to individualize each of the different parts. And it's a lot harder to individualize just a nutritional program without the other parts. And that's why I think what you have is really quite unique. And I'm very excited, to be talking to you and also promoting this, because people deserve, really, as I always talk about, to have the body that they want and the lifestyle that they want. And what I like to do is, we're just going to go into a break very shortly. And what I like to do, Dr. Kerr, right after the break, let's go ahead and talk about the exercise portion. I am Dr. Bart Rademacher, prescription for your transformation, # real people, real conversations, talking to Bartley Kerr. And he has come out with his bestseller book on rejuvenation. And we will be posting his website and how to get his book on Amazon. Be right back.
We'll be back with Dr. Rademacher right after these. It's people's secrets that make them interesting. People have been trusting their secrets to longtime business journalist Judy Schreiner for the last 25 years. And now you can hear them too on Radio Star Worldwide every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. So have you been to the Horse and Cow yet? The Horse and Cow is a bar that caters to the submariner fleets and has been doing it for over 60 years. They've been in San Diego, San Francisco, Bremerton, and Guam. Today, they are famous for their burgers and hot wings and their signature drink, Nuke Waste. On their show, they talk with the brewing houses and distillers, liquor distributors, and patrons of the Horse and Cow. Yes, the Horse and Cow has a reputation for being an off-the-hook bar for submariners. But everyone is welcome, so pull up a chair and join the fun. And if you can't make it to the Horse and Cow Live, listen every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern right here on Radio Star Worldwide. It's happy hour at the Horse and Cow. Welcome back to Dr. Rademacher's Prescription for Transformation. And now, once again, your host, Dr. Bart Rademacher.
Well, welcome back. And I'm Dr. Bart Rademacher, Prescription for Your Transformation. # real people, # real conversations. And I'm very delighted and excited to be talking to Dr. Bartley Kerr, a best-selling author of Rejuvenation and founder of the National Rejuvenation Centers, and really talking about the trinity of our transformation of our body, and the trinity being nutrition, exercise, and hormonal optimization. And we now live in a world where we have access to enough scientific data, enough empirical data, enough experience to really be able to dial in to get that body that we desire. And so right now, I'd like to ask Dr. Kerr about his exercise regimen. What is your perspective on that? And what is it, how do you get dialed in so that you get your clients to do the kind of exercises that you feel are part of that trinity of yours?
Well, I think the most important thing about exercise is to find something you'll actually do on a regular basis. If it's not fun, you're not going to do it. Or if you don't see results, you're not going to do it. So we have people that are cyclists, are Pilates people, they do everything. But the straightest way or the quickest way to get anything done is a straight line, and that's going to be, in my opinion, the gym with a little bit of cardio. So, one of the things that I see with my patients, and I really have a good rapport with my patients because I'm one of them, we're all 40 to 60, maybe some a little bit older than that, and we all hit the wall. But one thing is that we have in common is that we understand each other, and we know what we're feeling, and we get grumpy in that we're kind of set in our ways because, and like I say, what works, works. I take pieces of the gym puzzle from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and even 2000s. I call it a radio show routine, the 60s, 70s, 80s, and today. We put it all together to make the best possible package for the patient. And these are the best tricks without gimmicks. I don't like fitness gimmicks for the most part. If somebody likes it and they're actually training and it hasn't trained before, that's good. But I like what works, and that's going to be weights and cardio in a gym. Now, the difference is, from our patients and younger patients, most of the stuff that's written about training is written for the 17-year-old kid who picks up a bodybuilding magazine. Well, that stuff was good when they were younger, but our people aren't that guy anymore or that woman anymore. We lose these fast twitch muscle fibers as we get older. Most of us don't have a lot of them, but we do have more slow twitch, and we want to exploit those. So we have to train a little bit differently, and that means a little higher reps than we used to. I like free weights, but most of us have some kind of an issue with a joint, a shoulder, a knee, a back, a neck, and we can't do a lot of the stuff that we used to. Some of us can't even put our arms over our heads. These machines that they have in the gym, some of them are extraordinary, and I like some of the machines just so the joints don't get irritated, because we can grow a muscle, but we can't grow a joint. So what we do is we put these routines together, again in a fashion from a general to a specific, and nobody, since they're on hormones, they're 40 to 60, nobody's working out more than 3.5 hours a week. I mean, that's real. I mean, anybody can do that. And it's a shorter routine because we respond better to shorter routines. We only train 4 times a week. Some can get by with 3 because more is actually detrimental. It doesn't work as well. And when we go in there, we do about 20 minutes of cardio, whatever you like. We have a certain method of keeping the heart rate in a certain zone. More is not better. And then we go and we do weights.
You know, what I like about the program, too, clearly, is that, you know, when you're just stuck with a trainer, and you start working out just with them, and especially being the older guy that I am as well, is that you start coming across limitations. You start coming across experiences of pain, discomfort, aches, and everything else. And what I like about the program that you now are able to deliver is that because of your Trinity, because of your hormonal optimization, as well as your nutritional optimization, you're actually helping the clients, your customers, your patients have better results because, number one, they're able to recover more easily, and number two, they're going to have less problems and limitations.
Yeah, and they're getting stronger, and they can do more stuff outside of the gym. It's really nice when we get somebody who hasn't played tennis for 20 years go out and play and have a great game, but not be sore the next day. You know, and we have plenty of guys who go into the gym. It's funny to see. I mean, I had to put about 40 stories in the book about patients because, and these are real patients, change the name, because some of them are very funny and enlightening. But, you know, we have these guys, I mean, it's such a great demographic because we
why don't you share a story with us right now?
Well, yeah, I mean, if you look back into the 80s, I mean, everybody was going to the gym and working out. We get a lot of those people in here. And we had one guy who, you remembered Arnold Schwarzenegger, a guy who won a bunch of bodybuilding shows. Most people know who he is. And the guy's about 6'2", and about 185, wants to look like Arnold. I said, well, it's not happening. You're over 50, but you can get in great shape. So I don't see him. He's from Indiana or someplace. I don't see him for 3 months. We put together his routine. The guy comes back. He's about 210. He comes in, and I'm like, oh, my God. And I said, how you doing? I think he's going to be so happy you wouldn't believe it. And he goes, not so hot. I said, why? Well, I'm still I'm not as big as Arnold and all that. And I said, listen, you're not going to be. Wake up. I said, do people in the gym come up to you and ask you for advice? And he says, yeah. I said, yeah, because you achieved this look. I said, you're about the same height as Arnold. Arnold won the Mr. Olympia contest at 220. You're 210 now. You're almost as big as he is in weight, but you're not going to look like him because you actually have a job. You actually work, you know,
right.
and you have a family and things to do. This is a guy who was a professional bodybuilder. That was his job. And even if you were a professional bodybuilder, he had better genetics than you. He's going to win. But on the street, you're better than 99% of them, and they're coming up and talking to you. And I put it that way. And he says, yeah, but you know, I gained all this size, but I put, you know, 1/4 of an inch on my waist. So I told him, I said, the next time you measure, just take the measuring string and make it a little bit tighter.
Right.
Because, you know, 1/4 of an inch, you complain about 1/4 of an inch, you gain, I don't know, what, 20 pounds on me, and you look like this? I mean, come on, mission accomplished. And then he was happy. You know, we were joking around about it a little bit. But you know what? That's the thing is these and I like guys like that because they never actually achieve their goal, but they're trying to. And what happens is they keep on getting better and better and better. And the same thing, we had a lady in there, God, how much did she lose? I think 150 pounds.
Oh, wow.
But the funny part is, her big problem when she came to me was menstrual cramps. She had to be hospitalized every other month for menstrual cramps, and because they were so painful. And so we got her right. That was a relatively easy one for me. But just in getting her hormones right and exercising and eating clean but not perfect, she dropped 150 pounds and still goes out on the weekends and has a pizza and Coke with her husband. She has a pizza. She has her own pizza. But she does she does that herself once a week. But she looks phenomenal. I mean, you would never know she was heavy.
Wow. So how much time do you actually spend with them to actually set up very specific goals? And is this something that's also much more dynamic when they also get to realize, the progress that they make?
Well, the thing is, and it goes right in line, with their mentality. When we initially see a patient, it's going to be an hour consult. We want a good history. We want to know what's going on. We want to see what the other doctors have done to them and what their expectations are. And we recheck them after about 5 weeks on the program to make sure the hormones are right, they're doing good, they feel good, and every 3 or 4 months after that. And when they come in, we ask them, what do you want to do now? What's the goal? And also, how do I make an A a better A? Once we get them feeling good, looking great, their outlook is phenomenal, and their blood profiles are better than they were before, I mean, they're an A. I mean, you look at I can take a 60-year-old guy and put my hand over on his blood work and take his name and his age off the thing. Looks like an Olympic athlete. I mean, it's an A. How do I make an A a better A? It's to formulate what they want me to do with them. And what's our next goal? Is it a cosmetic goal in that you want bigger shoulders? Or is it a female who says, hey, look, I want to get rid of the cellulite? Or somebody who says, I think I'm going to climb a mountain, which I actually had a guy do that.
Right. And what's also awesome about your program is that, as I've mentioned also in my book, 52-week success plan, is that success builds more success. And so when you create that container, that space that allows someone to be a lot more successful, and because you're combining the three things, the nutrition, the exercise, and the hormonal, bioidentical hormones, it's a lot easier to get the results that you want. Because if you seem to be struggling too hard, and if things are just not coming easy, it's also really easy to get demotivated.
Well, how can you, if we go by grades, there's 3 parts to the Trinity here. It's going to be nutrition, and it's not hardcore dieting, but it's nutrition. It's going to be exercise, and it's going to be hormone optimizations. If you're missing one of those, you got a D. So if you go to a hormone place and they give you hormones, that's okay, but it's a D. Or if you're still eating, God only knows what, it's a D. And if you don't exercise, it's a D. You have to put them all together, not too much of anything, so you do it for the rest of your life, and it's amazing.
Right, and that's what really sets you apart, because you're totally dialed into a more of a holographic or complete kind of process, with them, including the lab analysis. And so you actually are following some of the lab results and understanding, what results you're getting, what progress you're getting by measuring these things on a regular basis. And I think that's also really important. And what I like about the way that you approach it, it is very much individualized. You spend a lot of time with each of the clients. You get a really good idea of who they are, what their objectives are. And then on top of all that, you're really a motivator for them and helping them get the success that they desire. And I think that's pretty unique. I think a lot of people, are dialed in, at least, what I've seen out there, what I've heard out there, they're really dialed in to make a quick buck, and sell these hormones. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and really don't spend that quality time that you do. And so what I do appreciate and respect is the amount of dedication and passion that you have for them to get the results that they want.
Well, it's only a win if they're doing good. And, the idea is to have, it's a very fun and happy practice. There's no sick people. These are people who are doing well in life, and I love when I see them after 3 months and they look different. They're talking about what they're doing. They're having fun. I mean, that's mission accomplished right there. But that's why I'm doing this. This is it's a very rewarding practice, and it's very nice to see that they're doing well. And I want to tweak it so they can do better. And these are the type of people. It's an interesting clientele because they're very bright. They've done their research before they come in, and they're the same type of people that I would hang out with if they weren't patients. I mean, it's very commonalities. We're all from the same generation. It's it's a very rewarding and fun practice.
You know, that has to be very motivating for you too, and inspirational as well. And so before we go to the break, I just want to ask you, you know, as you're getting these successes with your clients, and so obviously we're just talking about the body, you know, what kind of stories have you heard about how this affects the rest of their life?
Well, that's the biggest part of it. I mean that's what the final chapter of the book was about. It's just, you know, the biggest thing is what I call the shibumi experience. And, you know, in Japan, they have a term called shibumi, and where you appreciate little things in life and so forth. We took the definition a little bit further with that. I embellished, actually a friend of mine embellished on the definition. But it's those little things in life that you realize are great, but you didn't before. And once your hormones are optimized and you're very healthy, you know, playing a game, a simple thing of playing a game with your kids, or taking your dog out for a walk and seeing a sunset, you really say, boy, that is great. Or you might have not done that before. These little things in life pop up maybe 30 or 40 times a day where they didn't before. It sounds really corny and goofy, but that's a big thing. And the way you know, a lot of this stuff is mood elevators. So you do better in your job. You're more productive. You have more energy. And you're just, you know, you can talk to the spouses. The other one's nicer. They're nicer people. They're having a good time, and they're really sucking the sap out of life. I mean, they're enjoying every minute of it here, and I think that's the beauty of the biggest part of the whole thing is like, yes, you look better, you feel better, you're healthier, but why? You want to enjoy your life. You're more productive. You can do the things you want to do with your kids. But for instance, my parents, I got an 82-year-old dad, I got a 78-year-old mom. They go to Universal with the kids, and they go on every ride. They walk the park. They go on every ride. They have a blast. They're passing people in their 40s and 50s in wheelchairs because they don't want to walk the park. They're just having fun like they're kids, and that's what I want everybody to do when they're in their 80s.
Right. So I know we kind of jokingly say, let's get hormonal, and really that's what it is. And, you know, hormonal goes, you know, one of two ways. It goes at a higher positive vibration or a negative one. And the truth is that when our hormones are out of balance, you know, things just seem to have more of a negative, you know, perspective. And, you know, life is the emotion that we experience. We filter everything through the emotions that we have at any given moment. And our hormones are going to affect that. And so we're going to talk about that right after the break. I am Dr. Bart Rademacher, prescription for your transformation. #real people, #real conversation. Delighted to be talking to an expert, Dr. Bartley Kerr, rejuvenation, and that trinity, that unique trinity that he has of nutrition, exercise, and hormonal optimization. We'll be right back.
We'll be back with Dr. Rademacher right after these. Stand Up and Speak Up with host Walt Grassel. Sharing stories of people who have taken steps to overcome their fears and now lead stronger, more fulfilling lives. Are you ready to take that first step towards a different life? Join Walt as he shares his tales of triumph over stage fright and public speaking. Walt has performed stand-up comedy at the Hollywood Improv, as well as the Flamingo in Las Vegas, and wants to help you conquer whatever is holding you back. Join him and his guests for Stand Up and Speak Up, every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern on Radio Star Worldwide and on demand 24/7. If you are a family historian passionate about preserving and sharing family films and stories, a filmmaker wanting to move analog, legacy, or found footage into a digital project or documentary, a genealogy buff, memory keeper, or archivist, this show is for you. The Home Movie Legacy Project. Rhonda's passion for home movies and independent filmmaking stems from running Pro 8mm based in Burbank, known as the Super 8 experts for production and legacy footage for over 30 years. They have worked on thousands of projects for moguls and the masses, including Hollywood blockbusters such as Argo, Super 8, and JFK, TV shows, music videos, commercials, and the personal family film legacy of the world's most famous faces, industry icons, award-winning documentaries, and archival footage for the presidential libraries and museums. Each show will focus on compelling interviews with people who are telling their personal stories using home movies as a jumping-off point, sharing what was discovered or what was challenged or what was confirmed. Expert guests will share best practices to organize, digitize, socialize, and even monetize your old media formats and cutting-edge ways to bring them back into your digital life. And don't miss the weekly Tech Talk segment featuring Phil Vigent, the other half of the Pro 8mm story. Learn insider industry secrets of how to become head of your own studio. Don't miss the Home Movie Legacy Project, Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern on Radio Star Worldwide. Welcome back to Dr. Rademacher's Prescription for Transformation. And now, once again, your host, Dr. Bart Rademacher.
Well, welcome back. I'm Dr. Bart Rademacher, your show host for Prescription for Your Transformation. And speaking with Dr. Bartley Kerr, an outstanding and best-selling book, Rejuvenation, to live healthier and happier through nutrition, hormone optimization, exercise, and more. And I'm just blown away by what I get to hear from him today and how his programs have helped people and how well he's dialed in. I know that he's done extensive research over the years and really knows more than most people in the medical industry as well. And so if you want more information, you can go to his website, www.nationalrejuvenationcenters.com. That's www.nationalrejuvenationcenters.com. And so we're going to talk about hormones, Dr. Kerr. And I just want to start off with how much confusion and how much negativity is surrounding the use of hormones. So explain what's going on.
Well, there's a bunch of different, it's a dynamic field, and there's a bunch of different factions who love this stuff or hate this stuff, depending on who you talk to. And in our area, years ago, the medical community, most of them hated it. Now about 50% of them love it. So it's changing as we're going on. But what happened was when these doctors went to school, there wasn't a lot of the research out. As a matter of fact, the stuff that was taught on some of the hormones was simply not true. It was just speculation. And now we have the actual research to say that's not the case at all. It's the other way. And many of the doctors are actually researching, saying, hey, wait a minute, it's different than what I learned in school. But the trouble we have with hormone optimization is that some of the doctors who treat hormonal conditions, the endocrinologists, one of the doctors who do this, don't like this stuff on the most part, although even their own society has a lot of great research saying how good it is. And the reason they don't like this is because they treat sickness. And they're looking for something wrong with you to give you a hormone. If you're low normal, they look at it like that is normal. If you're in that range, you're normal. Well, I look at the range and say, I don't want to be a D. I want to be an A. A is going to be optimal. And that's what my patients like. You can be low normal in any one of these hormones and feel like poop, but be okay in a physician's eye. We're looking to optimize you to look to be better. And I explain this to a lot of physicians, and some of these guys really, and these men and women really understand. A lot of the OBGYNs are on board. A lot of the urologists are on board. They get what we're talking about in optimization. So what we're trying to do, again, is to get you the perfect level of the hormones, not just have it in the range. This is, and really, this is a concept that was tough for a lot of these MDs to understand because I put it to them this way: look, you're a doctor. You had to spend a lot of time in school studying. You couldn't go outside and play with your friends as a kid. You're studying. When you're in high school, you're studying. When you go to college, you're studying so you can get into a decent medical program. When you get into a decent medical program, you want a good residency. You're trying to get an A this whole time. A's, A's, A's. What's the first thing you do when you see your patient? You tell them a D is acceptable. Well, that's not acceptable in my practice. That's medicine. We're optimization. And that's the difference. We want an A on every patient. It's more difficult, it's more time-consuming, but the health of the patient is much better. And that's what we're going for with the optimization protocol.
So really what you're saying in a different way is that your approach is really what we call an integrated approach. So you're looking at different variables. You're not just focused on some numbers that are supposedly within a normal range. And if it's within a normal range, then it has to be okay. And since you're so focused on just hormonal replacement, then you just don't know what else to be doing. And so what you're really doing is you're looking at the results, and the results being, how the patient actually gets to feel.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite simple like that. I mean, we have to look at the numbers. The numbers in the range are 50% of it. I like the A range, so we're going for that. But really, like you said, is how do you feel? Because one of the things we don't know, we can know how much hormone we're giving somebody, and we know what their levels are, but we don't know how their cells take the hormone. We don't know how the receptors on the cell deal with it, or if they have bad receptors. So we don't know if they should have less of a hormone or more of a hormone unless they tell us how they feel.
Right. So here's a question then, is as we go into the specifics of the hormonal replacement, you use a certain kind of hormone. Is that correct?
Right. We use bioidentical hormones, the ones that are actually in your body or are supposed to be in your body right now. And what we do is we put them in the optimal levels so you feel better than you used to be and you're much more healthy.
But what define bioidentical for us? What does that really mean? For the listeners, they may not be familiar between regular hormones and bioidentical hormones. I mean, what's the difference and how are they actually made?
Well, we can make hormones a couple of different ways. We make them in our body, but we can make synthetic hormones, and these are drugs that you can put into your body. Bioidentical hormones are exactly the same chemically as in your body. And most of these hormones are actually made from a Mexican sarsaparilla, yam, and that can be extracted to make the hormone, the material in the yam, exactly like us. It's the same thing that cortisone is made of that they shoot in the shoulder. That is a hormone. Testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, all of these are derivatives of a cholesterol molecule, and that's taken, for the most part, from a Mexican sarsaparilla that's bioidentical or exactly the same as what's in our bodies.
Right. And so the truth is that there's a lot of people prescribing hormones. There's underground stuff going on. What are some of the dangers with that? I mean, what are some of the concerns that you would have, by not going to someone like yourself to get the right kind of bioidentical hormones?
Well, if people are getting hormones that are not under medical supervision, they may get dirty hormones that can cause infections. They might not be getting hormones at all, or a different hormone that's what's on the label, as good as the label is. That we have to really discard and say, you just can't do that. Some of the doctors are doing this just to make a few bucks, and when they do it that way, they're not looking at the other variables. For instance, if we take testosterone, the testosterone may convert to estrogen, it may convert to dihydrotestosterone. Sometimes too much of either of those can cause problems. If they don't watch that, that's a problem. You have to watch all these variables with each one of these hormones. You have to go to somebody who knows these hormones and not just doing it as a side job. And that's one of the reasons why the urologists work with us so well. They know testosterone, but they don't know estrogen. They don't know, they're not into it. That's not their role. So they might give a guy testosterone, but they're not going to give them the estrogen products or look at their DHT or anything. It's really not what they do. So that's why we see a lot of their patients. OBGYN might not give anybody a female testosterone, which could be great for them, because that's not really what they do. They know they're supposed to give estrogen, but estrogen without progesterone may be an issue and cause problems. They might not know that. So we want to make the whole package very good. We want the patient to be very healthy.
So what I understand too then is that there's two parts to the bioidentical hormonal replacement that are critical. And again, this is where some of the confusion shows up. where people think, oh, great, let's get some hormones and it should be fine. It's just like in my personal experience with plastic surgery. Oh, let me just go to a plastic surgeon and he knows what he's doing and he'll be fine. And that's not true. People need to be doing the research in what is it that they're actually getting. And so a very a fundamental aspect about hormonal replacement is basically two things. One is the interaction or integration with the other hormones that are being added or not added, but also the cycles. And so share with the listeners two different ways of hormonal delivery, one of which is what you use, but the other one is the pellets. And explain, what's the real difference and why the process that you use is actually better.
Yeah, I mean, just like what I was talking about, training, nutrition, sometimes the older ways work better. And the same thing is true with the methods of delivery. Sometimes a injection, a topical or an oral is better than a pellet or a gel. I don't know. It depends on the person. But what's the problem with the pellets is it was a great idea to put a pellet in a person, and in 3 months you get another one. You don't have to do anything. And it keeps your hormone levels level throughout that time, and everything is perfect. Sounds like a great idea. It was very promising when it came out. But the problem with hormones is you never get a level dose of hormones naturally. It's always up and down throughout the day. And the receptors on your cells never get a chance to get accustomed to that, so the hormones that your body naturally produces are effective. But with these pellets, since they keep you level the whole time, it downregulates it. It makes it the cells don't accept it as much. And it's just like taking any other medicine. If you take it for like pain medicine, after a while it doesn't work and you have to take more. The same with these pellets. Also with pellets, a lot of times there's too much or too little of the hormone in your body. So when many of these pellet people don't take blood measurements to see this, but if they do, I've had pellet patients come in that are 40 or 50 times what they should be. Some women with testosterone are 40 or 50 times of what they should be, and it's very rough to take a pellet out. It's like digging into a small incision. It's like taking rice out of Jell-O in the dark. So a lot of people a lot of these physicians aren't trained to do that. They don't have the skill set to do it. They just leave them in until it's over. Meanwhile, the woman is going through all kinds of side effects and everything else. Just don't like them. I think, if they ever improve them where they can go up and down and wave and cycle, people are going to get much better results. But I think for the most part, the pellets basically put money into the doctor's pocket that are giving them. Not that these are bad doctors, but they bought the pellet philosophy. What works. Old school. Guys, testosterone, hate to say it, injections work. It boosts your testosterone. You're going to see better results, and it's cheap. Women, progesterone, phenomenal in an oral form. Phenomenal. Unbelievable research on it. You feel better. It's good for your health. It fights cancer. They're happy. Wonderful products. And there's others that are topical and so forth that we use as well.
So I like what you just said, and one of the things that I also see is that we live in a fast-paced society, and we've learned to generate more and more convenience for us, whether it's the consumer or whether it's the person providing the service. And that's where the pellets came in. The pellets were extremely convenient, and it was also very lucrative. But here's the truth. The truth as I know it is that, our life is a set of rhythms. I mean, it's a daily rhythm, it's a nightly rhythm, it's a weekly, monthly rhythms. Everything goes in cycles. We have the seasons.
Right.
And so to think that we can outsmart what I call, the intelligence around us is just not going to work. And so when I talk about body intelligence, it's really about harnessing the potential of the body to restore form and function. Not to cheat it, not to bypass things, but just simply enhancing it. And that's where I totally agree with you. By using the pills or using the creams or using the injections at different sequences, you're going to mimic what's really absolutely normal in the body. So which leads me to the next question. What?
We still haven't beat nature. We're trying to get as close as we can with the cycles and waves. I mean, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to mimic nature as best as we can, and we're not there yet. So as technology increases and the next best thing comes along, we'll be doing it if we can get to that natural rhythmic cycles. I mean, there's like you say, there's a divine intelligence that works, and we're trying to be almost as good as it is, and we haven't hit it yet, but it's pretty darn good.
And my response to that, by the way, is that we're never going to beat it. We're just going to, find a way to interact, best with it, because that's what makes the difference. And so then my next question for you is, how much does just the nutrition and exercise in of itself optimize your hormonal levels and your physiology?
Many times, it depends on the individual, but many times you can get good results by doing it, especially if you're not deficient in all the hormones. I mean, some of our people just have one or two hormones that are starting to go down, and they're not too bad, and they can get by with that kind of stuff. But listen, at 39, I mean, the average person at the turn of the century in 1900 lived at 39 years old, and then they died. With advances in medicine and cleanliness and so forth, we're living twice as long, but the second half usually sucks. I mean, the hormones start going down, and when hormones means spark, give life. And when they start going down, people start to feel like poop. And they're living twice as long, but now they have all kinds of conditions and stuff. And what we're trying to do is say, no, the second half, we want better than the first half. Now that you worked your butt off your entire life, why didn't you start enjoying it? So we want to put that back into them so they feel good, they're healthy, and they can do the things they want to do.
What's really interesting, and they just came out with this movie, I think it's called Youth, and where you have these people that are in their 70s and 80s, and they're totally having the time of their life, and they're reliving their youth in a way that they could have never lived when they were young. And so that's what's wonderful about the program that you're able to provide, is to have people have access to that experience in life that they otherwise couldn't have. And so what's interesting, what it is that I find as well very often, is that as we do get older, the transition of that is very slow, and we take it for granted, and we don't realize very, very well, or it's not within our awareness as to how our body is really degenerating, how we do get tired more quickly, how we are less able to do things. And then what's remarkable when someone says, look, I've had enough of this, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, I am going to do something about it, and then start doing the program that you do, especially with a hormonal replacement, and then suddenly realize, wow, I've got all this energy, I've got this mental agility, I've got this endurance and all these things, and wondering, wow, why didn't I not do this before? So my question for you, just for the listeners, and particularly when it comes to the hormonal replacement, what are some of the things that specifically that they are going to experience? I mean, one of which is, people have a problem with memory. So please share, what are some of the specific experiences that people will get to have once they get onto a program like yours?
Well, it's funny what you just said. My wife had a great quote. She said, I never knew I was so tired until I wasn't tired, because it was such a gradual thing that happens to you. But one of the things, the first thing is going to be tiredness. It's just like we said, it's going to be, you just can't get through the day like you used to. The next is going to be mood. It's not like you're depressed, but nothing's cool anymore. I think that's the way I would say it. It's the coolness factor. I put it in the book. It's just like, but you want to go out to your favorite restaurant? Maybe. We'll see. There's nothing that intrigued you anymore. That's a sign that your hormones are going down. Another one is you're losing muscle. Another one is you're gaining fat. You can't concentrate. You're searching for your keys for half an hour and they're in your hands. That's a big one, unless that was the way you were your entire life. Not sleeping, big one. What other ones? Loss of libido. You'd have no sex drive, or very little. And that could be a big issue with a husband and a wife or spouses. It's just not cool anymore. I mean, it's just basically you're shutting down and you're just becoming, it's Groundhog Day. Every day is the same as it was before. Probably a good candidate for rejuvenation medicine.
Wow. So let me ask you this, and I don't know if you can say that, but, if you could give a percentage of improvement that people generally get to experience in all the dimensions of their life, from their energy, from their mood, from their curiosity or excitement about life, or better sleep, all these things. If you could give that a number and say you work with someone for 6 months, what can someone expect?
I'm going to say it. It sounds too good to be true, but it's a game changer. It's a game changer in about 3 months. But you're getting all these things back. When you have energy, you lose your body. If you go to the gym and it actually works, you have a piece of cheesecake and nothing happens. You don't gain any weight. You feel good. You're excited about doing stuff with your kids. You're sleeping like a log. You got a sex drive again. This stuff happens to the majority of them. I'd say in the 90s, high 90s. And every once in a while we get a humbler, but the majority of people, they're high-fiving me. They're living their life. And I get to see all the cool things that they're doing. They travel. They take up new hobbies. It's another thing. They're taking up stuff. It's not wimpy stuff. We're talking about people hang glide. I have all these people. They hang glide. They kite glide. They climb mountains. They're doing cool stuff. They're exploring. I got 2 ladies that were in their 60s. Both went to South America. Both zip-lined, and they don't know each other. Same month, went to South America and did this stuff. This is in their 60s. This is cool stuff. And it's basically, you feel the same way you did when you were 17 or 18, maybe even a little bit better, but you have your mental acuity that you have today, and probably financial resources to do the things you like to do. And that's the fun part of it. And we have, it's success story after success story, but if you really want to know about it, talk to the people. The best thing is when you hear it from a patient and they tell you the story, and that's why a lot of our business is referral business, because it works, and they send other people in. It's just a good, I'm a skeptic, and most things that I've come across look better than it is. This is the only thing that I've found that actually works. It is what it is. It is everything it promises.
I have to say it's a real privilege to be working with you, and it's what you're able to achieve. As a life coach, I'm a peak performance life coach, and I use the brain intelligence, what we call the belief medicine aspect of it, and I also tap into energy intelligence. But this body intelligence that you are able to offer is just fundamental, and it's practically immediate as well, which is great, because again, that energy that you get to have, that excitement, that mood, that mindset that you get to have, to then view the world around you and then see the world as an opportunity, as a playground versus a cell or a prison where you're just locked in because you just don't have the energy, you just don't have the memory. You can't go in your car because you can't find the keys that are in your hand. And it's just interesting how even all these small limitations, how quickly they will add up to limit you in your life. And here's such a safe way that people can actually truly live the life. And now having that maturity and that perspective to live a life to the fullest, and you're helping them. So that's really, really very exciting. So I want to thank you, Dr. Kerr. This is Dr. Bartley Kerr from the National Rejuvenation Centers. He has come out with his bestseller book, Rejuvenation, to live healthier, stronger, and happier through nutrition, hormone optimization, exercise, and more. And you can find him on www.nationalrejuvenationcenters.com. I'm Dr. Bart Rademacher, prescription for your transformation. Hashtag real people, hashtag real conversations. And you can find me on www.drrademacher.com, where you could also listen to the show. Dr. Kerr, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Dr. Rademacher's Prescription for Transformation. Join Dr. Bart Rademacher live right here on Radio Star Worldwide each week or on demand 24/7.